Hey guys, it's Miss Mason here. Listen, this is your first ed puzzle. I hope you're kind of excited because I am. I've actually tried to do this about 5 times today in my classroom, so hopefully this will be the last take that I have to do. Today we're going to be working on subtracting mixed numbers. Now I know we did that in class today and we've done it for the past couple of days, so I want to make sure that you understand the process that we've been working on. I feel like most of you have it from today. Again, we're going to add just a little bit to it so that this will be the next step in learning. All right, today we're going to be subtracting mixed numbers. Guys, remember that if I'm writing this down, you need to be writing this down. Anything that I write on your notes, you need to come back to class with totally filled in tomorrow. So make sure that you have a pencil and that you're writing. You can pause the video if you need to go get something, but make sure that you're ready to do that. All right, I'm going to start off by writing a couple of mixed numbers. Let's just say that if I have 5 7/10 and I want to take away 2 4/5 from that. I started just the way we started everything in the last few days. I need to first of all check to make sure that my denominators are the same. And in this case, I have a denominator that's a 10 and a denominator that's a 5. So I know I have to get those to be the same in order to add or subtract these. So the way that we do that is we're going to find the LCD or the LCM. They're the same thing. They're the least common multiple or the least common denominator. Now the way that I do that is I'm going to take the denominators off and I'm going to begin listing multiples of them. If I think 10 times 1 is 10, 10 times 2 is 20, 10 times 3 is 30, and I can keep going. I don't have to go very far when it's the largest number. Hopefully I will find something that matches with the smaller number soon. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the 5. 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, and I can actually stop right there because I've found my least common multiple. I have found that 10 is the smallest denominator that will work for both of them. So I am going to make equivalent fractions now. I'm going to take the same mixed number with the fraction and move it over. And now I am going to begin putting both of these fractions over the same denominator, which we decided would be 10. I hope you remember in your head that you're thinking, okay, 10 times something turned into 10. And I know 10 times 1 will give me 10. If I do it to the bottom, then I also need to do it to the top. 7 times 1 would make the numerator 7. Now this is the one we're really changing. 5 times something gave me 10. 5 times 2 is what that is. And if I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. So now I'm saying 4 times 2 leaves me with 8. So now I have made equivalent fractions and can subtract. Now you might notice that it is going to be difficult for me to subtract 8 if I only have 7/10 to start with. I can't take 8/10 away from that. So I'm going to have to go next door and borrow, just like you do when you're working with whole numbers. I'm going to have to borrow something from that 5, and since that 5 is in the ones place, I would have to borrow 1 from the 5. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to rewrite my fraction with the new numerators. But I need to borrow 1 from this 5, which will turn it into a 4. And I'm borrowing the entire 1 to go with my 7/10. Now the problem is I still have a mixed number and I can't very easily subtract a fraction from that. So somehow I'm going to have to combine that 1 with my 7/10. The way that we're going to concentrate on is by simply adding those two things together. I have to add an entire 1 to go with the 7/10. Now hopefully, if you think back, that you will remember that any number over itself is equal to 1. So 1 could be equal to 2 over 2, or 6 over 6, or 10,000 over 10,000. But if I need to combine it with 7/10, the easiest one for me to choose would probably be 10 over 10. So now I have 10 over 10, and I'm going to combine it or put it with by adding 7/10 and 4. Now I'm still taking away 2 and 8/10. Now when I combine this together, I come up with 17/10. So at this point, I'm going to rewrite my fraction and say 4 and 17/10, and I'm going to subtract 2 and 8/10. Now that I'm going to treat it just like I have most of my other mixed numbers. I'm going to ignore the whole numbers at this point and simply concentrate on subtracting this numerator from this numerator. 17 minus 8 leaves me with 9, and I put it over the denominator 10. So I have 9/10 as my fractional part. I'm going to once again copy this into the next box. Guys, when you're working these problems, you don't have to copy them this many times. I just want you to see what I'm doing in the particular box. You can work through these steps generally in the same area without recopying the fraction so many times. So I'm going to do it one more time. You'll notice that I've copied down a 4 instead of the original 5 because remember, I borrowed one from it. 17 take away 8 is 9 over my denominator 10. And now it is my turn to do to the whole numbers. Well, you've been doing that for years. 4 minus 2 leaves me with 2. So my answer is 2 and 9/10. I need to do just a double check to make sure 9 and 10 cannot be reduced by any number at the same time. And when I look at that, I realize that these are numbers that when I count are right behind each other, so they're consecutive numbers, and consecutive numbers have nothing that will reduce both of them. Okay, I'm going to pull up my paper and I'm going to move it down just a bit. Hopefully you've gotten that all copied down. You can certainly pause it if you need to. I'm going to show you one more here. It's going to be 6 and 1/12 and 3 and 2/3. I am subtracting, so I want you to think through what you need to do is find the LCM or the LCD. So I'm going to take off my 12 and my 3. Some of you can do this in your head, and that's fine. If you can do this in your head and you know that my LCM is 12, then you don't have to write this down. Remember, this is 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12. And as soon as I find something that's on both lists, I can stop. My new denominator will be 12. 3 times something gave me 12. And if I think back to my facts, 3 times 4 gives me 12. So I need to say 2 times 4 gives me 8. 12 times 1 gave me 12. 1 times 1 gives me 1. Now I have 6 and 1/12, and I'm trying to subtract 3 and 8/12. Again, I'm going to borrow an entire 1 from here, which will turn this whole number into a 5, and I am going to combine that 1 by choosing to put it over the same denominator that I already have. 12 over 12 is equal to 1. So when I combine these, I now get 13 twelfths. So I'm going to come back over here and copy my fraction one more time. 5 and 13 twelfths. I'm going to take away 3 and 8 twelfths. 13 take away 8 is 5. I put it over the denominator 12. And 5 take away 3 is 2. When I look at 5 and 12, there's nothing that divides both of them at the same time. All right, I want you to do, on your next sheet, I want you to have this one at least tried before you get back. I want you to try to solve 6 and 1/8. I'd like you to take away 4 and a half. See what you can do with that before you come back to school. I'll be checking your math journal. Hope you guys have a great night. Remember, this is all the homework you have. Hooray! Enjoy. See you tomorrow.